Hey folks, welcome back. Another Poem Master video. So I guess it's probably a good time to start talking about this, right? So, like we've been told in the dev letter, right, last time that we should be getting a new villain arc next month, right? Which is why this month, even though it seems kind of hype on like the surface, I do feel like this month is still a bit of a down month, right? Like I know, yeah, we got Fairy Zone, we got 3 different rebuffs, right? Fairy rebuff, Ghost rebuff, and Fire rebuff, which is basically Zone, right? Small differences here and there, but you know, functionally similar at least, right? And a lot of other unit stuff. You know, 2 Poke Fears with Wally, SS Wally, and Victor. Obviously, the new Fall units. But I do think it was still overall a pretty down month. None of these units, all of these units are solid. None of them are like amazing, right? And I mean, the outfits are amazing, that's for sure. But that aside, it does seem like they were giving us a bit of a down month in between the anniversary and gearing up for November's villain arc, right? So, all right, here's the big question. Okay, what villain arc is going to be next? I feel like there has been a bit of a unsaid consensus among the community that a lot of people think it's definitely going to be Unova. Here's why, right? Because first of all, we went up to Sinnoh, had Sinnoh to the furthest region so far, and if you want to go in region order, next one Unova makes sense, right? Not that the first 4 was in that order, obviously. It was Kanto first, then Sinnoh, then Johto, then Hoenn, right? But if they wanted to go in, you know, an order like that, next one could be Unova, right? I mean, the last 2 were in order, Johto and then Hoenn, but they did Sinnoh earlier, so if you just want to go in terms of order of obviously the generations, Unova being next would make sense. Another thing that people have been talking a bit about, if you guys do remember in the Hoenn villain arc, right, we did get Colorus, right? He did finally show up in the story. He wasn't a huge part of it, but he was there, right? He was mentioned along with Looker, obviously, so people might think, oh, is that a bit of an indication? There's also that thing about a Signisuit N in the files, I think earlier this year, right? So could that be another indication of Unova being next? And I said, yes, it's possible. All of those are likely. And there's a few more things I do want to add in terms of maybe things that I haven't seen people talk too much about in terms of why Unova could be next. First of all, I do feel like Unova as a region overall has been a bit weaker. It's still good just because they have a generally like decent quality of units, but if you do look at like the absolute like top of the Unova units, they just can't compete with some of like the other top tier units on the other range. Like you can't compete with Hoenn, can't compete with like the top tier Johto units, right? Kanto obviously now as well. Like even like Sinnoh maybe, right? Yeah, it's just they have overall good units. They don't have any like over the top powerful units. So they have been being a bit left behind recently, I'd say, in terms of just new units, because like almost every region has been getting, you know, pumped out like incredibly powerful units. Even Kalos, man. Even Kalos got like SS Karina recently with Marshadow. Kalos got SS Serena and Zygarde, which was, you know, the strongest Hem Shield in the game before obviously Deoxys and Steven and some others. So yeah, they have been left behind a bit, so that them getting the next villain arc would make a bit of sense. And also, it would just help because if we're looking at the zones that we're missing, there's only, you know, a couple, right? Like outside of normal, which is not a real type. It's just what rock type and ice type. Rock and ice don't have zone yet. I think almost all the other, let's see, fire, water, electric, grass, ground, poison, well, zone / weather / you know, terrain, right? Weather in terms of weather that buffs, actually, you know, buffs damage, not like hail, which is a fake weather. Fighting, flying, psychic, bug, dragon, ghost, dark, steel, fairy. Yeah, literally just rock and ice, right? Rock and ice. I don't know about rock, But Ice could potentially, you know, be there for Unova if they focus a bit more on the Curums, right? You know, if they go for some like black-white Curum sort of thing for Unova, maybe they, you know, the new SSN is like a N and black Curum and like gets like a power boost to like white Curum or something. I don't know, but that could be a possibility for maybe an sort of Ice Zone unit. Although I really don't know. Are they gonna make 3 Ice type Curums then? It would be kind of odd, right? I'd say like if they are gonna do black and white Curum, I feel like the other type might be a bit more, might make a bit more sense, right? But if you say, oh, they could just make one of them Ice type and then the other one's, you know, some other type damage dealer, but that also doesn't make, because like the whole thing of Reshiram, Zekrom, Kyurem, they're supposed to be, you know, opposites of each other, right? So like having one be like the main type, the other one being like the subtype, it does not make sense. I mean, look, Reshiram was fire type, and then Zekrom was electric type. Neither of them were dragon type, although one has a dragon type move, but obviously that doesn't make it a dragon type. So yeah, I feel like that could be a possibility as well to factor in terms of, you know, next one being Unova. I guess another slight one is just that Unova has a lot of characters not in the game yet, and generally with these villain arcs, they don't really go too heavy into new characters. I think we've only gotten, I think, 2 new characters, right, ever in villain arcs, and it's like, I don't really count Looker, but like, because Looker's not like exactly of any region, because Looker's, yeah, like Looker came out during the Hoenn arc, but Looker's not like Hoennian. Let's like what, Courtney from Hoenn arc, and we had Lucas in Sinnoh arc, right? I think those are the only 2 that are completely new characters, and yeah, again, like I mentioned, they don't really do too many new characters during villain arcs, but if they wanted to for Unova, they could, just because there's a lot of like Unovan characters still missing. You have the 3, you know, the monkey people. That sounds weird, but like the Crasilian and Chili, right? I keep forgetting their names, and then you have who else? I don't know. You just have a bunch of people who still not in. Is the Elite Four? The Elite Four is all in. Let's see. The champions are in. Gym leaders. Gym leaders still missing a few, right? Again, the 3 elemental monkeys, and Lenora is the big one, I feel. What else? I don't know. I mean, just, we're still missing some people from Unova, basically, right? Hugh's a big one, obviously being the rival. So there's still a lot of new characters that could come from Unova, even though again they don't really do too many new characters during villain arcs. Usually, the more main, like the more important characters of each region, because this is the main story. Main story needs main characters, right? So it's much more likely we see something like a even if it is a Univark, we'd see you know, another N alt or Hilbert or Hilda alt or whatever, right? But then that does also lead to my point against it being Unova. Again, everyone I see kind of, you know, almost like pins it down as Unova, and I do say Unova is likely, but there's a few factors that I look at and I'm like, these might not work in Unova's favor, right? First of all, like we just mentioned, if Unova arc is going to be getting, right, units, right, the more likely ones would be whether a, you know, Singsu N or some new Hilbert, new Hilda, new Rosa, maybe, right? The main characters. That's generally what happens during these villain arcs. But if you also look at it, right, we just got a Hilda alt, we just got an N alt, like literally just 2 months ago. We got Summer Hilda and Summer N. That was very recent. Rosa just got an alt last month, right? Being the sightseeing, you know, thing. And if you look at like the main characters for Unova, that really just leaves like what? Getsus, I guess. Although I guess it's obviously going to be getting a power boost, and then it's like Hilbert, which okay, but again, it just feels very weird if they're not going to have an N alt because of, again, multiple factors. One, N is very important to the Unova story, right? Whatever Unova story you're telling, N is going to be important to it, and also in the files there's an SSN, right? There's a Sigsu N in the files, so it could just be a placeholder, but it's also likely that it, you know, pops up. Oh, the other one could be maybe Iris. Iris also just got an alt this month, right? So Unova has been getting a lot of characters recently. They have been getting plenty of characters recently, and if you do actually look, right, at sort of, you know, the months leading up to each villain arc, generally the region that is getting a villain arc actually kind of gets quite a few months of dry months, right? Because, you know, if you look at, for example, Kanto villain arc, right? Kanto VA was back in, you know, right after the anniversary, and we got, you know, Erica, Misty, Blue, and Red, and obviously the Giovanni power boost. And then they actually haven't gotten any summable units for quite a few months before that, right? They only had, like, what, Swimsuit and Misty, which is not a summable unit, but, like, what was the last summable unit they got? None of these, obviously, none of these. Nope. It's Unova, that's all Lola, it's Hoenn, Johto. That's a these are BP units. What was the last Kanto unit? Legitimately. Holy. Lance. New Year's Lance. So, like, basically, like, wait, is New Year's Lance really? There has to be, like, someone in between. Is there really no one? Okay, well, anyways. Okay, New Year's Lance then, I guess. You have to go all the way back to basically, you know, the end of last year / beginning, you know, of the New Year's to find, like, a new summonable Kanto unit. This year basically had, like, no Kanto units all the way up to, like, the anniversary where we got the Kanto VA. And then if you look at the Sinnoh VA, right, what did Sinnoh get before that? Like, Sinnoh was in a hell of a drought, right? It was only, like, the Rock, which actually wasn't that many months away, but, like, outside of the Rock, right? Outside of the Rock, what else did they, like, what was the one, you know, before that? Nothing in the anniversary, nothing before that. Falconer's obviously not there. None of these either. Sinnoh goes all the way back to... Jesus Christ. Anyways, you get my point. Was Falconer really the only unit in between, like, Sinnoh VA and Duroc? But yeah, they've been on quite a bit of a drought too there as well. And, you know, same thing for the other regions, right? What's next? Johto, right? Johto, like, do we even have to check Johto? The drought Johto was on, it was, like, legendary, right? This was a legendary drought of, like, no units, straight up. So yeah, Johto, we don't even need to check, man. We'd have to go back to, like, 2019 or something. Actually, that's not true. Johto's over. Okay, there's, like, one. SG Jasmine, but, like, outside of SG Jasmine, and, well, you know what? I'll give Johto 2. Although, that's still, like, last year, though. That's what, the month after the second anniversary, and then Johto was June of this year, I think, or is it May or June? So that's still quite a few months. And obviously same for Hoenn as well. Closest one was, like, was Annie May, I want to say, right? And then nothing since last year. So yeah, a lot of those units or a lot of those regions really had, like, months of just droughts, right? And having no units. And just, I don't know, just based on, like, that pattern, Unova actually has been getting a lot of stuff recently, right? I mean, you got the new Iris alt, you got the new, the Rosa alt, obviously, here as well. And then, like, right before that, the summer units, both Hilda and obviously being Unovan units, whatever. And, yeah, even before that, you got alts for these guys. So, Skyla was an anniversary unit. So yeah, Unova has been getting like pretty consistent updates to the roster, and a lot of really recent stuff here as well. So that might be one knock against it. And if we look on the other hand, well, okay, if we follow that, which region has actually been on a bit of a drought? Okay, let's look which region had been on a drought. Like, definitely not Galar. We've gotten so many Galar stuff this month. 1, 2, 3, 4 Galarian units, and they've count Raihan as well. The updated Raihan plus, Lodge stuff. Although I don't really count that, but still, who cares? It's 4 over here, right? 4 Galarian units here. Right before the anniversary, we got Dojo Gloria as well, right? So that's another big one. Well, not that's like the month before, right? So yeah, so Galar has been getting stuff, right? FC Sonia here too, and then what are some other ones? Alola, we haven't seen anything in a hot minute, right? So what was the last Alolan unit? Like some Alolan unit, not like Naomi. So last some Alolan unit, it's got to be probably Essie Lily, I want to say, right? Essie Lily was like the last summonable Alolan unit, and if we say okay, non-Lily Alolan units, what was the last non-Lily Alolan unit? Luzmine, right? SS Luzmine from winter of last year. So if we don't count like Lily, that's like almost 1 year of no units added to their roster, basically, which is quite the drought indeed. Quite the drought indeed. So could Alola be one option? Maybe. Alola could definitely be an option. Kalos could be there as well. They are definitely a region down bad. They have Kalos has 0 like real supports. The only literally Kalos has like 2 supports. It's like Nita, or 3 supports. Nita, Evelyn, and Xerneas. All 3 of them are completely fake supports, by the way, right? None of them have support EX, and none of them are particularly. I mean, Xerneas is alright, but like the other 2 are particularly great. So as a region, Kalos has gotten nothing much either. Although they did get SS Karina recently, so that was definitely something, right? SS Karina, and then before that I think was SS Serena, right? So they did get 2 really recent and pretty powerful additions. Not a lot of units, but it's something, right? It's definitely something. So if we're going in terms of like longest drought wise, it's definitely Alola, I'd say, right? Then after that would be probably Kalos. Galar has been eating recently, and I also see this argument from a lot of people. People say, oh look, they're releasing a bunch of Galarian units. Maybe that means the next villain arc could be Galarian. Maybe, but also that hasn't really happened. Because, again, like we've mentioned before, all the villain arcs have been on droughts, right, before, in their regions, before, releasing, obviously, more units. And if you look at, like, stuff like, I guess, like, Sinnoh especially, right? Sinnoh was on, like, a massive drought, and then they released the villain arc. But, like, after the villain arc ended, that's when they started adding more Sinnoh units, right? They added the Sinnoh Elite 4. Afterwards, they got, like, Looker as well, too, later on. Going to the Cynthia over here with the anniversary, so I don't really think it's that much of an indication. Could it be a bit of an indication? Maybe, but I feel like it just works more against it than rather for it. All right, so I don't know, and yeah, it's just a bit far. I feel, yeah. So, yeah. There's again, I'd say stuff like this is almost impossible to predict. Right, it's just just have to see what they do, I guess. But I'd say Unova is the more safe bet. But I feel like Alola low key could be a pretty big contender there as well. That I don't really see too many people talking about. Right, in terms of Alola, obviously I know people are gonna groan at this, but like Lilial would probably make sense. Right, Lilial would probably make sense. Maybe another Luzmine ult, but one that low-key we haven't gotten like anything of is like Gladion. Like Gladion has not gotten an ult yet, and OG Gladion is borderline terrible in terms of a unit. So another Gliding alt definitely could be very, very nice there as well. And also maybe something for Selene / Elios, since they're the actual protags of the game, and not Lily, even though Lily is the de facto actual main character of the Lilith stories. But you know, yeah. The two MCs haven't really gotten anything. Right, in terms of like any like unreleased Alolan characters, they're really nothing, right? Lola basically has her entire cast in the game. It's just like Ilma, Faba. I think it's literally just Ilma and Faba, right? In terms of Alolan characters, like Ultra Recon Squad, if you want to count them, I guess. Right, Ultra Recon Squad, Ilma and Faba are like the only Alolan characters that have Pokemon. Right, that aren't in the game yet. If they decide to give like Wick or Burnett something, then maybe. But like outside of that, Alola basically has their cast in, so it's gonna mostly be alts, I'd say. All right, we'll just have to see who is there to get alts. Right, again, the big ones talked about. Obviously the Aether family, but there's also a possibility for maybe like maybe a Guzma, maybe a Plumeria, right? It's possible. I wouldn't say it's super likely. Maybe Kukui. As you can see in the shadows over there, there is a Luzamine, so it'd be kind of weird if, Luzamine doesn't get anything. It's like Luzamine's like she's there. I mean, Archie didn't get anything, but like Cyrus got a new alt, Giovanni got an alt. Not that it was his villain arc, but I mean, no. It isn't. No. Johto is Giovanni's. No, Johto is Giovanni's too. He's been places. He's been around. So we'll see. Yeah, I'd say Unova very, very likely, but I'd say Alola and Kalos could also be a contender. Although I personally kind of hope Kalos doesn't get its yet. Even though again Kalos is a region very, very, very down bad, right? But Kalos kind of. I don't know. I just want Kalos villain arc to happen later, because then Kalos would have like even more broken units. So hey, look, so far it's been the later the villain arc, the stronger the units, right? The Sinnoh villain arc guys are stronger than the Kanto ones. The Johto villain arc has been better than the Sinnoh ones, and maybe this one's a bit arguable, but I do think the Hon villain arc units are probably better than the Johto ones as well. So just keep on going. So hopefully they delay Kalos just to make them even stronger at the end. Well, I guess Guzma's also here. I didn't see him. Now I see him. Oh, look at Guzma. So maybe Guzma losing me and all. Who knows, right? So anyways. Yeah, that's me on this one. I guess hope y'all gentlemen guys think in the comments down below. Let me know what villain arc you guys think are coming up next. Again, I do feel like most people say it's Unova, and it's likely, but I also have a bit of my money on on something like Alola, right? Gotta diversify your investments, as people say. So all right, have fun, folks, and I'll see you guys in the next. I just noticed when I was looking at my my phone at the silhouettes of the villain arc, I didn't switch back to my phone on my recording. But yeah, I mean, if you guys click in the game, you'll see, right? The shadowy figures. There's one like Guzma, there's one Luzamine, there's Rose, Getsus, and Lysander. So, all right. Have fun. I'll see you guys.